everybody, what's going on? This is Brian Doyle, and I'm back here with our latest installment of MSP Business School. With me today is the talent. Rob and Tim are going to be telling us some stories today, and I'm just going to be the big talking head in the background. Okay. But I'm excited about this one because this is something that, if you run a business, is real. And what we're going to talk about today is sales analysis and forecasting. I think all of us love to, if you remember Tommy Boy, I love my deal. I like to plan it.
That was just on last week. Just on.
And the reality
one of the
is
best movies ever.
Yeah. Oh, definitely one of the best movies ever. Right. But the point in that is we love those deals so much. Sometimes we can't see past them to realize they're not a deal anymore, or at least they're not deal ready right now. And I think, that'll be a conversation we could definitely have during this time anyway. So with that, I want to welcome Tim and Rob as always, guys. Thanks for being here. And I'm really excited to hear about this because there's such a huge opportunity to get good business intelligence if you can really get a good pipeline going and know with confidence based on historical trends that what's in your pipeline, X amount's going to close and X amount's going to turn into real data. And now you can make business moves with it. So, maybe we can start by kicking off. And I know, Tim, we were talking a little bit about this up front. Let's talk about a dirty sales funnel. We always love a dirty funnel, right?
Yeah. I mean, so look, there's, and this isn't just the MSP space, obviously, but anywhere where you have a sales funnel, as a salesperson, it's, there are ways to keep deals alive on weekly one-on-ones that probably that need to be caught by the sales manager or the owner of the company, right? What really good line that I used to use was just didn't matter if they're going to close. It's not a matter if, it's just a matter of when. It's a really good way to keep a bunch of prospects in my pipeline and make it look a lot bigger than it really was. So not that I didn't have, I always had people in my pipeline. We always were successful in closing deals, always hitting our numbers, all of that, right? But I bring it up because it's just really important for a sales manager, for an owner of an MSP, when you're sitting with your salespeople, to truly understand what's real in the pipeline. Because it's very easy if you're an owner led. I mean, let's say you're an owner and you've got other things to do. It's really important that okay, how long has this deal been in the pipeline? Okay, it's been in there for 200 days. That's a really long time. Why has it been in there for 200 days? Or when was the last time you talked to them? If you haven't talked to them in 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks, that's not a lead anymore. Doesn't mean that you stop following up with them. Just means they go in a different bucket.
Yeah, but flip on that. So you just brought up two good things that I think we need to look at the counterpoint on. You said, hey, when I was doing this, I generally had good leads, and it was really about, I always had other opportunities. So some of my opportunity was dead weight, but you weren't bringing it in for nefarious purposes, nor would the business owner. Because at the end of the day, the business owner is going to be probably the most honest person with his pipeline, because that's really their dollars at the top end, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about that rep who's struggling, hasn't been closing some deals for a while, and as a result, the only thing they have to lean on is that pipeline? How does a manager not get maybe a little bit gun shy about taking that next step if they need to, because this person might be keeping in $1 million pipeline, but at 800,000 of it's really not going to happen.
Yeah.
At least not anytime soon. So, I mean, talk maybe a little bit about how to really know when to punt, right?
When to let go.
And punt on two sides, when to let go of the deal, but also, what's a trend that people should be aware of, especially these technical founders we know out there who might not be sales savvy and know when they're just, the best sales happening during their one-on-one meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so when Rob and I were still at the MSP that we used to work at, we actually built out rules for all this, and it's still stuff that we use for the people that we manage today. God, there were we had so many different variables, but definitively one of them was if there's no contact for 4 weeks of any kind, right? Unless it was predetermined that, hey, I am out of pocket as the prospect. I am out of pocket for 4 weeks. That's really about the only time. But like if you're following up as a salesperson on a regular basis and you don't hear from somebody in 4 weeks, when there was supposed to be a next step during that time, they come out of the sales cycle or of the sales pipeline. And what they do is they go into that ideal 250 or the warm 250 list or whatever you might call it. It doesn't mean that you stop dripping or trying to contact them. It just means that, look, you need true numbers that you're managing as an MSP. You need, and whether you're doing a principal led, like meaning you don't have a salesperson or you have a salesperson on staff, it's really important to get a true number so that you know what you can expect for growth moving forward. So there's a whole number of triggers that can take people out of a pipeline. And it's being diligent about following those triggers and making sure that there are true deals with next steps in the pipeline so that you can move them to close.
Right. So real quick, what I would jump in there, Brian, to your rep there, for your example, that had $1 million pipeline, but only 200,000 of it was what you saw as being real. You're the sales manager in this instance. You're talking to your rep. I would tell them, I would move that 800,000 out, right? Using the system that Timmy and I just talked about, Timmy just spoke about. If somebody missed the deadline and then you've been ghosted for 4 weeks, that person, it's a disservice to keep them in that pipeline because that way of contacting them is not working anymore. So if you want to close that $800,000, you have to move them into a different bucket that has a different type of marketing initiative to them to reignite it. Otherwise, it's just dead weight and you have no shot at closing it. So get it out of that pipeline. So you're not just, I'm going to give them a call next week and see what I can do.
Yeah.
And put them into, right? Like another email is going to make a difference there. Put them into another marketing initiative, get them into the case study campaigns, get them into the technical data campaigns, get them into something that is a different trigger. So you as the sales rep can make money on the deal. You're not making making money on the deal in the wave that it's being marketed to now. So that's the way that we try and help reps, get past that. I don't want to lose the opportunity, right? Because they're panicked about, not having it in their pipe.
Yeah.
But it's still in your pipe. You're just marketing to it in a different way and putting it in a different spot. And it's so important because like Tim said, the numbers have to be true so the owner can do his own forecast or her own forecast and understand the trajectory of their company. And it's all based on the numbers of proposals and closes and days to close.
Yeah.
Once you have those numbers, you can forecast out your company for 5 to 10 years. And it's not a fake BHAG, right? It's a real forecast. And this is what I do with my clients. I do this for them every week. I build out these forecast models for them. And it has to be done starting at Tim's pipeline.
Yeah. And look, it's as just one last thing. I just want to add to that. As the salesperson, if you have $1 million pipeline and 800,000 of it is tied up in one deal, you should be fighting your ass off to keep that in your pipeline. But as the MSP owner or as the sales manager, you've got to put your foot down if it needs to be taken out.
Yeah.
So. I mean, look, we kind of looked at it from the one deal perspective. I'm talking about maybe even just the aggregate of deals that have been lingering around forever that total 800,000. And it's just, it's time to move some of this stuff along. I love that fill or kill mentality when we get to that point, either get it done or get it out. Period.
You've got to take emotion out of it. You've got to have a set number that everybody agrees to. And that doesn't mean the deal's dead. It just means you have to market to it in a different way. Yeah. Right. The way you're doing it's not working. The value proposition is not working the way you're doing it. So just move it and try and find a different way to, get in touch with them. Yeah. So that's the way we do it.
And something an example I've always gone back to is just a large deal that closed when Rob and I were still in the MSP world. Took 2.5 years to close, right? We had over that 2.5 years, we had multiple proposals to them in multiple phases, both when they had an IT manager and when they didn't have an IT manager. And we just kind of knew at some point we were going to get in there. Like we just knew.
Multiple ghostings.
Yeah, like multiple, but it was big enough where like you just try different ways. And as the salesperson trying to get that pipeline moving along, the day finally came and they signed up, and that was it was at the time one of the larger deals that had ever landed at that company. And it went from in the pipeline to out of the pipeline, in the pipeline, out of the pipeline. It was out of the pipeline for probably a year, and then it was in the pipeline, and then it closed within like 7 days, right? So doesn't just I just say that because it just reinforces what Rob said. It doesn't mean that they're out of the pipeline forever. They're just moved to a different space.
I mean, Brian, you've been a sales manager for a long time. Like, what are some of the things that you see when you're looking at a rep's pipe, and it doesn't pass the sniff test, and how do you help them?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'll come at it a couple different ways, right? If I see something that seems like it's been there and I'm not hearing good activity, like if you can't give me an actionable next step, I'm out, right? I'm like, what's going on here? I'll give you a couple weeks if I can't connect with that guy, but at some point you got to get to an actionable next step. Second thing I do in looking at a deal is, can you really tell me who the players are, right? Who's making this decision? If you're not sure who's making the decision, it shouldn't be in your pipeline at all, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying, I think, hey, I'm working with OSR and I think Tim's making this decision, but I haven't identified that it's committee. Tim and Rob need to both agree on this, and Rob can be, if you're a Sandler guy, my U-boat commander that kills things, right? Then I need to figure that out, right? So, I used to ask questions like that. So Tim's got signing authority. And then sometimes I get the next half. Well, it's got to go up to the board, or he's got to have a conversation with his partner. Yeah. But Tim said, "Hey,
no, it's
I'm
fine.
good. Rob's just going to go along with it. That's just rubber stamp." Well, great, get it rubber stamped. Let's make that an action step this week. Let's do that. You need some support. You need me to jump on a call? I love jumping on calls as a litmus test, because if you don't want to put me on a call, you don't have a deal.
Yeah.
I'll just listen. Until if you need me to jump in, I'll jump in, but I'll just listen.
Oh, Brian, if you need me to jump in, that's adorable.
Yeah,
Brian goes right in and starts immediately talking.
Yeah. I don't believe that you don't go in. And...
No. I'll just sit and listen.
Oh, no. Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself as an executive leader here, just in case you had any questions for me. But go, Rob. And if you got nothing. And then I'm looking to see, again, quite honestly, and that's a different sales process. We can talk another day. I want to see if the guy knows how to go for the juggler. Because again, we go back to that. Hey, I love my deal. I never want to let it die, right? Because the minute you get no, it's no, and it's over, right? Yeah. But there's always hope, man. There's always hope when it's sitting out there in that funnel.
Yeah.
In a strategy.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. Well, so we've talked a lot about a larger deal in a pipeline. I think one of the biggest mistakes that the average MSP salesperson kind of grasps onto are the smallies, right? You spend more time chasing after the smallies than you do the ones that fit your vertical. So, I mean, that's more of just like a general, don't always go after the small ones. People think because if it's a smaller deal, in theory, they'll close faster. And generally that's not only is that not true, they usually take longer and they're a bigger pain in the ass when they do close. So stick to your target market.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other conversation we can have too. What is your target market, Mr. Sales Rep, right? Most of them are, if you ask most sales reps, anybody that's willing to answer the phone and take a meeting.
Yeah.
That's why Rob preaches 250, right, Rob?
That's right.
Find your right 250.
That's right.
People you resonate with, or Brian's going to get on the phone with you.
I mean, look, guys, this industry is tough. It's really tough. You're hoping to close 1 out of 5 deals, right? If you're good, you're closing 1 out of 4. If you're best, the best I've ever seen is 1 out of 3. And that's only been one person closing. And I'm talking about outbound prospecting stuff. I'm not talking about referrals.
Right.
Best thing I've ever seen was he was an owner, closed 1 out of 3 deals.
Yep.
The rest of us are closing 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 5 deals. That's all you're going to get. So if you have a rep who's got 15 deals in the pipe and most of it is fake, then like, how is he getting to his 1 out of 5 deals, right? When he's got all this stuff that he's working or she's working on that isn't going anywhere right now. Put him out of the bucket, focus on the deals that, are true. If you spoke to somebody, they have an action step, you're good to go. Yeah. If you spoke to somebody, you have an action step and they missed the meeting and they haven't returned your email or call, you got 4 weeks. The clock is ticking. And if they don't talk to you by then, they're out for now. Put them in another marketing system that'll get them back engaged. And you'll start to clean this thing up, and you'll start to have a healthy pipeline where the owner can measure, where the rep can succeed, and where the manager is not freaking out and jumping on phone calls and trying to snake away the deal from his rep.
Yeah.
First of all, I wouldn't get a single dime of that commission, man. I'm not trying to snake anybody's deal.
Oh no, you just wanted the reward.
Yeah,
right?
you wanted
I want to see
I
it
had to go
close.
in there.
No, dude. Honestly, that's never been my style, man. It's more is this deal ready? So, you guys kind of keep hitting that harsh term of fake. All I'm trying to figure out is it as far along as the rep thinks it is if it's been stale on their funnel for a long time? Is the problem that, and look, this is coaching up too, right? Sometimes you got a rep, it could even be a seasoned rep, but they're just not good at that aggressive saying, can I get the deal, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys that have had successful sales careers because they've led the customer to an ultimate conclusion and they never actually had to ask for the deal, right? It just kind of naturally happened. But sometimes you got to ask. And you got to ask in a way like, I go back to my statement of sometimes there's a fear that deal's dead. The ask can be just, hey, Rob, is this deal a priority for you right now? Is this something you're looking to get done near term in the next 30 days? Or are we missing that? Because if it is out beyond 30 days, then let's agree to our next meeting and save everybody a lot of back and forth time too. It's 60 days. Great. Then why don't we reconvene same time 30 days from today, and I'll get an invite out right now. And then we'll see where it is. That's really, when I say I'm jumping in, it's not about pushing the deal or pushing anything like that. It's about helping a sales rep who might still be junior too, understand where that deal is. And when I look at an analysis and forecast, I'm trying to figure out, okay, if this deal's not closing out, when is it going to deal? It's okay if they tell me this is really a Q3 initiative. We were trying to get some pricing now. Great. I don't want to call you 46 times between now and then, nor do you want me to. So let's just agree you're thinking about it in September. I'm going to touch base with you again in June just to make sure nothing changed and I fall behind it.
Yep.
And then based on our June conversation, we'll see when the next time for me to touch is again. And that's it. And then keep them in your marketing list and all that so they don't lose sight of who you are. But that's really what I'm trying to get to is, hey, is it deal ready? Because that's, to me, it's not fake, it's deal ready. Most of these deals were legitimate. People took appointments. They wanted to get information. What might not have been qualified is when are they doing some early recognizance for an initiative that might be a year away? Did you ask what the contract end date is? You guys preach to that. But if we don't know that could be,
it's all for nothing.
A hanging piece. So, again, I have no problem being teased because yes, I can sometimes bring a hammer to a pillow party, but the real thing I'm trying to figure out is when then, cool. You're not ready. That's cool. It's all good.
And there's no pressure. It's not like a pressure scenario, but I liked your system there, Brian. We kind of do the same thing. We ask them, if we're being ghosted a little bit, we ask them if this is still an initiative, but we say, is this still an initiative for this quarter or have things changed in your area? So we kind of give them a time and then ask them if that time is okay. And if it's going to be something else. And it kind of gives people that, ability to softly say, you know what, it's not going to be for this quarter after all. We're going to push it to third quarter. And then you've opened up the conversation again.
And build your process to support that. I have an email that I use after 30 days of being kind of ghosted where I've had a couple of normal follow-ups and just say, hey, are we still under consideration or have you gone in a different direction? No harm, no foul if you have. But if we're still under consideration, when is the right time for me to call you again?
Yeah.
I don't want to be pest.
That's a good one.
I don't want to be a pest. I just want to be pleasantly persistent. And
I like that.
and you will get feedback then, because you've told the person, I don't want to be up yours, right?
Yeah.
And I'll get one of two things. Now we decided to go somewhere else. Okay, cool. Would you mind sharing a little bit of feedback? Usually they're happy to share that feedback then, because you've been nice to them. But 9 times out of 10, hey, that initiative got pushed. Yeah, we're still in the market and you're still in it, but I need till April. Fantastic. Then I'm not going to bother you again until April. You cool with that? And, that's all I'm ever looking for, because, again, our business is transactional. MSPs, at least, there's a little bit more meat on the bone. But I've got 70 to 100 deals in my pipeline at any given time that are fairly active. You've got to have a way to ferret those things out, and you've got to have a way to know, to stay engaged with these people. And if I'm not putting things into a task manager with notes, I'm going to forget all of the conversation.
That's a lot, Brian. 70 to 100 at a time that you're.
That is a lot.
But they can see. But look, man, let's be clear. When we talk about forecasts, my stuff can sit in a forecast for 6 months too. And some of them I'll just put into a stalled column. So half of them might be installed, but I have stalled and I know what the date is based on what they've said to me. So then all I'm doing on the first of every month is reshuffling my stalled, going, where's all my ones that are this month, and putting them back up to the top of the line, right? Then there's another half of deals that come in, and look, again, I'm transactional, I'm sales, I've got 5 competitors out in the marketplace, so we're somebody comes in for an eval, I'm pretty solid in saying they're at least visiting 3 of them. So I know 1 and 3, that'd be great, right? I was getting 1 and 3 when I had 3 competitors. I'm getting 1 and 5 now that I got 5 competitors. Sometimes I'm getting 2 and 5, right? It's a reality of how it goes, but realistically what it is how do you manage that pipeline in an effective manner, and how do you get out the deadwood? Because you can't have a dashboard of 100 different opportunities and have deadwood on it for any extended period of time. Build your, when we talk about analysis and forecasting, build your process. Now, again, MSPs are not going to have quite the same level of pipeline, but they're also going to have a different game in town, right? Timing. We've joked about it. You can run over somebody's cat 9 times. Well, you got to figure out, has their cat been run over 7 times when they're stringing me along? Because they may call you 2 weeks from now and tell you they're ready because something else happened, even if they told you it was 2 months out, right? So you got to really get a pulse. And that's why I say you can't be afraid to ask questions. It's business. Anybody that you talk to that's having a tough time with the concept that they're salespeople, as soon as you sit across the table from somebody, everybody knows what their roles are.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's not sugarcoat it. You want different title, whatever. But realistically, they know at some point you're going to ask them. And sometimes they're upset when they don't. Have you ever been with a guy that said, the reason I didn't go with them? He didn't ask. These guys were equal. The other guy kept asking me.
Yeah, we've
100%.
seen them.
And you don't have to ask like, hey, man, here's the pen, and go for the juggler. It's just going, hey, what's the timeline? Who else is in the decision? Anything that's a blocker that I need to know. And then finally, when should I come back to you? Give them that option so they can open the door.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It gives them the perception they're in control, but guess what? All of those are controlling questions.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, we're coming up to the end of our time here. I would say that this meeting was a really, I would give this one a 5 today. A 5.
Yeah.
5
out of whatever you want to say.
Absolutely.
5 out of 50. 5 out of 5.
That's right. Very good. Very well done.
Rob liked
All right, fellas. All right. Any closing thoughts before we break away today?
I mean, for me, it's just, the important thing is just being honest with your pipeline. Look, as a salesperson, what's real and what's not. There's always going to be a certain amount of fluff when you're a salesperson. It's just the reality. It's why the MSP owners generally dislike salespeople, because they live in the gray area. But you need to be true to yourself. You need to understand what's real, what's not. And if somebody needs to be taken out of the pipeline and dripped on in a different way, it's got to happen. It's the only way that you can be successful long term.
It's a good thing. And that's where the reps really have to like try and get it into their head,
Yeah,
especially on the
like
disc profile.
Yeah,
The disc profile, the high I, high S, right? Who just never want to let go of that deal and just rub the deal. It's going to help you make more money if you get them out and put them in a different style of marketing, right? To get them back in. It's just going to take you a little bit longer, but that's the way to get them back in. Brian, any closing thoughts?
Just sales reps, be honest with yourself too. If you want to earn 6 figures and you're looking at your pipeline and you know half of it is further out than you think it is, be honest with yourself, because you're going to have to find opportunity to pull it back in. Don't think you're going to pull a miraculous rabbit out of a hat. Once in a blue moon, you get that deal to come in earlier than you expected. Be honest with yourself and be honest with the expectations for yourself too. If you don't think you can really get there with 100 grand, don't profess it, because that's what your manager's thinking you want to.
Yeah.
And they're measuring you to that.
Yeah, very true.
Well said. Well said. All right, fellas. As always, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Take care, guys.